The visual is not important here. The music is not important here. The voice is not important here. What matters are the words. If you cannot listen to the words, you do not belong here. If you understand this, welcome to the Fate Club. In ancient times, when human minds had not yet felt the pressure of the emerging digital networks, there moved quietly and slowly the understanding that what is now called DNA was not primarily a genetic code, but a communication protocol within human consciousness. This protocol, divided into 12 strands, was not written in the body as a simple molecule, but vibrated through space and time, connecting individuals with their own presence, with the history of ancestors, and with a potential that was never measured in numbers nor stored in databases. Each strand carried a different form of information, not of biological substance, but of frequencies of understanding, capable of activating or silencing dimensions of human experience. When a person moved through ancient cities' forests, along riverbanks, these strands harmonized with the environment. One did not need to be a scholar or a mystic to feel that something was happening between what the body expressed and what the mind received. Initial contact with the 12 strands was neither explicit, nor visual, nor tactile. It was a quiet flow of information, organizing itself according to the rhythm of the planet, the movement of stars, subtle changes in the flow of air and water. Within the 12 strands, no hierarchy existed. Each current carried a unique message. Some strands activated the ability to read invisible layers of reality. Others enabled synchronization between individual and collective, and others opened the capacity to know without words, to feel without touch, to be present without effort. Gradually, as human consciousness began to move away from a need for reaction and control, the strands awakened, not by chance, but as a natural consequence of a shift in the processing of reality. All 12 strands formed a subtle network that could not be measured by conventional scientific instruments, but was observable through the effects arising from their activation. An individual who touched this network did not feel power, control, or energy in the traditional sense. They felt a shift in the relationship to time, to space, to their own thoughts, to deep impulses previously ignored. The strands became channels through which information passed, not to shape the body, but to reorganize the way consciousness processed information, how it responded to stimuli, and how it synchronized inner and outer worlds. Some ancient systems that relied on genetic interpretations regarded these strands as a supplement or secret code for health and longevity. Yet the primary purpose was never the body, but communication between different levels of consciousness. Within the 12 strands, there was no concept of disease, no concept of success, no definition of right or wrong. There existed only the precision of information flow, the ability to align inner rhythms with the rhythm of the surrounding environment, and the capacity to perceive impulses of reality that traditionally faded into noise. As human consciousness gradually abandoned the old needs that defined identity through performance, control, comparison, and survival, the strands began to activate in their full capacity. In some cases, this awakening occurred through silence, through slowing of responses, through inner inactivity, which paradoxically opened new channels. No techniques, instructions, or exercises were required. The process occurred automatically because the 12 strands responded to a state of consciousness no longer anchored in old patterns and expectations. The strands functioned as a system of continuous feedback. An individual felt inner precision never experienced before, while no external mechanism confirmed it. This precision was neither good nor bad, neither safe nor risky. It was neutral, precise, impersonal. The more consciousness moved away from old survival habits, the more clearly the ability of the strands to transmit information, change perception, and enable synchronization manifested itself, which was neither linear nor predictable. At times, human groups moved in fluctuating frequencies, where the strands remained temporarily dormant. There is no need to understand why or how. It is enough to observe that something is changing, that certain impulses no longer resonate with the old way of thinking, and that information that once made sense is disappearing. Here, the 12 strands reveal themselves as a pure communication protocol, independent of tradition, independent of genetic patterns, independent of personal will. The strands are an environment for the movement of information that reorganizes consciousness on its own. When individuals were in quiet spaces, or when their minds ceased constantly reacting to external stimuli, the strands interconnected, creating subtle synchronization between what was personal and what was collective. There is no need to feel connection with other people or with nature. The connection occurs automatically because the 12 strands observe only precision, flow of information, and alignment with the current state of consciousness. The strands gradually become visible through effects that have no form. Eyes see nothing, ears hear nothing, hands touch nothing. The effect lies in the precision of thought movement, in the slowing of reactions, in the inner silence that allows information to pass between different temporal, spatial, and existential layers. What was once considered static becomes dynamic. What was once considered chaos becomes ordered according to a principle that is neither known, understood, nor influenced by traditional means. Over time, the 12 strands become a form of impersonal intelligence, which does not intervene but records, correlates, and allows the movement of information where previously there was rigidity of identity and constant reaction to external stimuli. The individual becomes an observer of their own responses, while the strands pass through all dimensions, reorganize thought, and remove old patterns without conscious acknowledgement. This protocol moving through the 12 strands requires no learning or practice. It is adaptive, self-organizing, occurring through inner silence and slowing. It requires no name, no definition, no validation. It functions as a system allowing consciousness to reorganize its sensitivity, precision, and capacity to respond only where necessary, while completely ignoring old impulses once considered vital. At every moment when attention ceases to cling to external structures, the strands activate and reveal their full capacity. There is no progression, no evaluation, no goal. There is only the ongoing process that reorganizes the way consciousness processes information, synchronizes inner and outer realms, and moves across dimensions without interpretation or judgment. If someone attempts to analyze the strands using conventional measures, they quickly find that their essence cannot be captured. Everything occurs silently, invisibly, impersonally. The strands are a form of intelligence passing through consciousness as a subtle current, reorganizing the ability to perceive and process information, and enabling a natural shift from identity based on fear, control, and comparison to consciousness that no longer reacts, but observes and harmonizes. Within the 12 strands lies complete precision and complete neutrality. There is no need to understand, no need to believe, no need to act. It is enough to be part of the process, which unfolds without conscious consent, without judgment, without expectation. Here it becomes clear that what we call DNA is merely a shell, an external symbol, while the true power resides in the quiet, self-organizing protocol of the 12 strands, allowing consciousness to reorganize its precision, synchronizing ability, and inner impersonal intelligence. If you understand this, welcome to the club.